So I've seen you since you played up at Butte, at Pleasant Valley, and Cal Berkeley, same thing. 37 seconds, not a big deal for you, huh?
Yeah, a lot of time left. You know, we used a bunch of timeouts there in the third and fourth quarter, so we're out of timeouts. But felt good about the first play call, especially. Matt and I and Getsy talked on the sidelines briefly during the last drive for them, and kind of play we made up in practice on Thursday. Just one alteration on the route by number 2 in the slot, which was Randall, kind of clearing out safety of the front side. When I came up, I was thinking first window on the deep end to Devontae, but Fred was kind of in the way, so I just had to put it over his head. That obviously got us to the 50, which gave us a legit chance for Hail Mary opportunity at the worst, and we just needed one more completion to get into Mason's range.
So the first play, you guys made that up on Thursday in practice?
Yes.
Oh, how does that happen?
I do the 2-minute, and I like to adjust some routes from time to time to get a look at what it feels like against our defense. And so I just adjusted one of the routes, and we all liked it. And Matty suggested it right before the last, right before we went out there. He said, "What do you think about this play?" I was like, "Yeah, I like that. I think that'd be pretty good."
So did you call all the plays there? You called all the plays there on that last drive?
I did. Matt suggested the first one, and I called the rest.
Aaron, how much time would it need to be on the clock for you to feel like you had a pretty good crack at it? 37 seconds.
37, yeah. I mean, no timeouts from the 25. You need 2 chunk throws. I mean, I knew that, so that's why it wasn't dink and dunk. You don't have any time for that. We had to get at least 15 on the first play, and then, and a little bit of wind, outdoors. Mace 55 was kind of the end range I was thinking, so that means we got to get the ball to 37. So, we needed 38 yards, so we need a couple chunks.
What do you think when Devontae first took that hit, and then what was your reaction when he only missed one play?
I couldn't believe it. Now, in the league now, the way things have gone, you can't just come back on the field if it's a head injury. So I realized it obviously must not have been a head injury. I went over and checked on him as I was questioning the referee about the possible helmet-to-helmet, and then having a side conversation with Jimmy Ward. I looked at him, and he gave me a thumbs up. To me, that seemed like I just got knocked out and I'm fine. I didn't realize he just had a hard time breathing, and it was nothing to the head. My first thought may have been when he took that terrible shot from Trevathan a few years ago. I remember the next day he was completely clear. Some people's heads respond differently to trauma. Some guys have a hard time with it and can't come back. Some guys kind of clear right away. So I was like, wow, that was quick. Then I realized he obviously didn't have a head trauma, so he was able to come back out there. But like I told Michelle after the game, my first thoughts in devising how I wanted to get us in the field goal range was how can I get 17 the ball.
You talk about your reaction there when you spiked the ball and you gave out that fist pump. I mean, I guess you knew right then and there that you guys had sealed it.
Not about sealed it. I mean, we still had a 51-yard field goal, but my old partner, Mace, felt good about him nailing that. He's made some big kicks over the years.
Go
ahead.
You had some wins against the 49ers before, but how big is this one given that you guys, first time you were able to play against their fans in the stadium since that playoff game 2 years ago?
Yeah, they beat us up twice in 19. Those were tough ones. Tough. Yeah, the road trip out west from Green Bay is always tough, but it feels a lot better when you're going back to a win.
You played the 49ers a dozen times in your career, but is there any added significance being at the fact that you grew up close to here and, one of your favorite teams as a child?
I mean, I would say earlier in my career there was maybe a different motivation that involved, April 23rd, 2005. That kind of adjusted over the years to just a love for this area, a lot of respect and appreciation for my time here. Going to Cal, still very close to the program. Justin Wilcox and I actually exchanged texts this morning. So Andrew McGraw, I saw was there a long time. part of the football program. So I love the area. Still have a lot of friends in the area. It's always fun coming back. Hadn't been fun, 2 of the previous 3, but this one's pretty sweet.
Aaron, you mentioned the conversation with Jimmy on the field. How did that conversation go, and did you have any issue with the hit?
From where I was at, it looked like helmet to helmet. My first question was for the back judge. I always have respect for the officials. It's a tough job to do in real time to make decisions. So I was asking him what he saw on the play. He gave me a great dissertation, and then I was wondering who hit my guy. That was the extent of the conversation.
What can you say about how your offensive line played, especially with the injuries you had coming in this week?
Yeah, I'm so proud of those guys. You look across the line. I was thinking about this today in the locker room before the game. I'm thinking back to some of the amazing veteran lines that we've had over the years. With you look across, you got Dave, young Dave, you had TJ and Josh, Corey, Brian. Today going out with Yash Nishman and John Runyon, Josh Myers, Wildman 70, and Billy. I'm so proud of those guys. I mean, they really played well. They battled, especially Yash. We talked earlier this week about I was talking to Steno. Who do you want there? And he said, Yash. Yash, really? He said, yeah. So I said, all right, let's do it. And Yash, if you guys probably haven't talked to him a whole lot, but he's a very soft-spoken, quiet guy, great young kid. And Dave always talks about how good his feet are. He says he's got the best feet for any lineman. But I'm just really proud of the way that he battled. I mean, he's going up against one of the top 3 premier pass rushers in the game for most of the game. And, we gave him some help because, you got to. He's boasted such a stud. But there were times we had no help, and I thought he held up really well.
What's this do for you, this win, after the poor start to the season?
Yeah. Give some legitimacy to some of the things we've been talking about, that was kind of an aberration and that we are a talented football team. It felt like in the locker room today that we finally had the energy that I've been waiting to see. And before the game, it wasn't the type of energy we had in Jacksonville, but I knew we needed a spark. And Matt and I talked earlier this week about whether or not he wanted to take the ball. And I said, let's talk about it later in the week, but it feels like we probably should. And Matt and I talked briefly in the locker room before the game. He said, I want to take the ball. I said, let's do it. And to go down, and I know we only got a field goal, but to go down, get a field goal, come back, get a touchdown, and our defense played so well in the first half, that was really important for us. But the energy in the locker room post-game, that felt like a win. It felt like it was such a growth moment for us. And I'm really, really happy for the guys to feel that. And, it feels like, okay, now we're on our way. Now we can get into this. Now we know how to win. And we can get this thing moving in the right direction.
You say we a lot, but if you look at how you could have been a Niner, they should have drafted you out of Cal. Tiger Woods hits 1,000 clubs a day. Steph Curry shoots 1,000 shots. What's taking you from being looked over to be one of the best quarterbacks to ever play this game? What do you do that they don't see?
Even when I was at the Combine, I always felt like there are things you can't measure. And that's why I've always felt like I separated myself. I'm not the tallest guy. I'm not the fastest guy by any means. But I feel like I have the intangibles. And I've grown over the years a lot as a leader. And I think all great competitors have to be first critical of themselves and then look for growth opportunities. And there are things I said and done that I wish I had done better over the years. But I always tried to lead with authenticity, stay true to who I was, and then to just grow and not be stagnant in who I wanted to be and the type of person and leader and teammate I was. And as a player, my greatest asset is my memory. My muscle memory with throws, my ability to recall things in the moment, and that's always helped me, I think, over the years. And, toughness and discipline and focus and those things are things you can't really put a number on, a measurement on, and I've always felt like that's what's given me a leg up on many of my contemporaries.
You mentioned the offensive line. And
Hi, Ed.
Like,
Good to see you.
Looked like you had a mismatch at left tackle against Bosa, like you said. Do you commit more to a quick passing game, or are you as a quarterback more conscious of getting rid of it quickly? in those situations?
I think at times for sure. We didn't, if we weren't going to get the ball out quickly, we wanted to put a body on them, at least body presence. But a lot of times we were chipping them and thumping them with a tight end, with a back. That's just what you got to do against a premier pass rusher like that. And Armstead on the other side as well, or D. You know, we weren't going to let those guys kind of just rear back and get after us. I think in 19 we had too many one-on-one stuff, and going back and looking at those games and thinking about what didn't allow us to be productive. A lot of it was, you know, we did a lot of drop back, a lot of 5-step, and didn't help our tackles enough probably. So get those guys going early in a loud environment. First time for Josh and Royce and John and Yash to all be in that environment. You know, it's important to get those guys comfortable early on.
What do you think it meant for your coach? You guys got it handed to you pretty good twice a couple of years ago to come out and play well and win the game.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, even the comment over here, people for some reason don't count last year's win against San Fran, I think. Just think about the 2 games we got our butts kicked in 19. Many of you probably picked against us this week. So to be able to get a win against a great football team, against a former boss of his, I'm sure that feels pretty good.
The short pass, before the touchdown pass to Adams, there was you hit him by about the 1 or 2, I think it was. That looked from the press box like a really tight window. Did you see it that way, and what made you throw that if you felt like you were taking kind of a chance there?
Percentages. I always play the percentages, and that throwing the ball to 17 is a high percentage opportunity. So I was able to move just slightly in the pocket. He adjusted his route, and I felt like if I extended any longer, based on my athleticism, which you've talked about, Pete, I was going to have to, you know, make a quick decision and not try and. I wasn't going to run for it for sure. And based on the distribution of the play and me moving left, I felt like it was better to deal it right then and there. And Tate did a nice job of kind of breaking off his route and making a contested catch.
In that situation, are you coming out predetermining that you're going to be looking at 17, maybe first, second, and third read more than you already do, or
On the last drive?
Yeah.
The play was for him, for sure. Cobby was clearing out on that side. We were banging both the edges. We had Quez on a big post opportunity. So if they decide to play one high where they kind of show 2 and then drop one of the safeties down, tilt to one side, then Marquez became a big option. But, you know, based on the way they played, they played, you know, 4, a very soft cover 4. Just had to get the ball over Fred.
Talking about Marquez, you said you missed him on Monday. How's it feel to finally connect with him and get him the touchdown?
I owe him 5. We just talked about it in the locker room. 2 last week, 2 today, and then he made that ridiculous catch. So I owe him 5. That's where we're at.
5 what?
5 TD balls, big throws.
The last one. The shot to Adams on your second to last possession, he had the one-on-one on the left side. Did you go over the top on that more than you did? Or?
That was a bad throw. Tay and I talked about that. There was a timeout right before the play. Came over and I said, "You want a slant?" He said, "No, I want to fade." It's okay. He had Mosley on him. They brought some pressure. They showed double A gap. They brought the guy off slot. And if I could have it back, he'd throw that ball up. Based on the way the pass interferences were going and Devontae's leaping ability, that should have been a high ball. I mean, because it wasn't even a back shoulder. It was a low ball that I think hit him in the arm. So, yeah, definitely one I wanted back. And then, you know, when I go down and score, it's, you know, you're thinking about that throw a lot. So I wanted to make sure I had a couple good throws in that last 37 seconds.